things. We're going to learn how to set up all your files and folders so that they'll be saved across the cloud network for your student ID. That's how you'll make sure everything that you work on is backed up and saved to one location. The location we're going to save it to is called your OneDrive. So make sure that your OneDrive is connected to your computer. What you're going to do is go to your Finder. Remember, Finder is like the main menu for your iMac. It's a blue face right down there. And you're going to go and click on the Finder. You have a few locations here and favorites. You can always modify these. I want you to make sure that your OneDrive is connected. Now that OneDrive is going to connect to any computer where you're signed into OneDrive. So any computer in this classroom, it can connect to your Chromebook. It can even connect to your phone if you do download the OneDrive app, which is free. So anything you put in this folder will be automatically saved on the cloud. So that's why we're going to use it for this class. What I want you to do is make sure that you have a folder created specifically for this class so that you'll be organized. What I'm going to do is delete mine and then show you how to create that folder. So how do you create a folder in a location? Okay, now let's set up the folder for your projects where you're going to save all your work. This folder needs to be saved in your OneDrive. Make sure your OneDrive is currently selected. And now we're going to make a new folder for our class in our OneDrive. Okay, you should see, if you click on Finder and you have this file menu up here, you're going to go down until you see New Folder. That's going to create a new folder with an untitled name. You want to name this DDA1, and if you're on honors, you can put DDA1 honors, okay? You can even put your first name and last name. But let's make sure that you put DDA1 in the title. If you press enter, you will get that saved. If you need to modify your name, all you have to do is click once while it's highlighted, and it will let you rename your folder. Now we're going to actually make more folders once we're inside this folder. So now you can see I'm in this location, DDA1. This is my folder, it's empty. We're going to make folder for our Illustrator files because we're working first on Illustrator. So in this case, you can just simply right click and create a new folder. Call this folder Illustrator. Everything that we work on for this unit, I want you to save in this folder, which should be inside your DDA1 folder, which should be inside your OneDrive. It's time to finally get into Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator is Adobe's app that's used for graphic design. We can create what's called vectors, which I'll explain later in Adobe Illustrator. I want you to first find the app by going into the Launchpad. The Adobe app that's used for graphic design, it's used for creating logos and shapes, illustrations, buttons, all types of designs. This is the first app we're going to work in Adobe, but first you need to sign into Adobe so that your software will be licensed on this computer to your username. So the way you do that is you'll go to the Launchpad. The Launchpad is down at the bottom of your computer. It has a lot of squares that are multicolored. It should be to the right of your Finder on the left-hand side. If you click on that, you'll be able to see all the apps that are installed on your iMac. I want you to find a orange app that has AI, that is Adobe Illustrator. If you can't find it, you can type in the top Illustrator and it will start to come up. Once you click in that, you're gonna have to maybe sign in for the first time. So I'm gonna show you what you do need to do to sign in. To sign in, you're gonna use your school email address, which should be your student number, .stu@gcsnc.com. Mine is a little different. Mine is actually my username. So I'm going to type that in and hit continue. So now I am signed in. I have been working in this Illustrator a bit on the iMac, so you will see all my projects are down here. But we are actually going to create a new project. When you create a new project, there's a few things that are very important to set. So I'm going to teach you a bit about that. You want to have in mind what are you creating before you create it. Today, let's create a business card. The size of an average business card is about 2 inches by 3.5 inches. So let's keep that in mind as we go to the left-hand side where it says create. Create new. So Illustrator has a lot of templates and sizes that are common to different types of projects, but we can also create our own size. Let's first make sure that we create the file name properly. So we're going to save this as business card. And then I want you to put an underscore, which is if you hold down on shift and then go to the top right button right next to your plus and minus. Underscore is like a space that you cannot put spaces in a file name. So we use underscore as a space. Then I want you to put your first and name and last initial, okay? Now we can create the width and height of this document. I'm going to ask you to change the measurement to inches from pixels. And as you can see, the size of the old document was quite large. So we're gonna change this down. We're gonna make the width 3.5 inches and the height to be 2 inches. This is a business card size. The orientation is whether you want this thing upright or landscape mode. I want you to put it to landscape mode. And let's add an extra artboard to make the total number of artboards too. I'll show you what those are. As for the rest of the settings, you can leave it to default. And now we're gonna click create. So now I have my business card. And this is currently my 2 artboards here. So in Illustrator, you can design documents that have multiple faces to them and multiple sizes. For example, if you were to design a book or any other kind of document with multiple pages. So as you know, a business card has a front and back, so that's why we have 2 artboards. If you want to, you can actually zoom in. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about the navigation. This bar at the bottom can move left to right. This bar to the side can move up and down. You can also use your scroll wheel to move up and down. Now, I usually like to zoom in a little bit. There is a shortcut for creating a zoom in. If you press key, the shortcut for zooming in is press Z on your keyboard and you will get a magnifying glass. If you click, you will get zoomed in into the project and then you can navigate from there. To zoom out, we're going to hold down the Option key while our zoom tool is selected, and it will become a minus sign in the middle of your magnifying glass. If you click again, that will zoom out. So let's do this a few times. Remember, I want you to hit Z on your keyboard to get your magnifying glass tool, and let's zoom in by clicking. And now hold down the Option key or the Alt key on a Windows and click again to zoom out. As you work in Illustrator, you will begin to memorize these types of shortcuts, but for now, I understand if you do not memorize it. I will be giving you a guide to all the keys that you need to know. Okay, now let's do a little basic tour of the layout of the panels and menus in Illustrator so that you know your way around. Okay, so as you know, these boards here, which are like my pages or my papers, these are called artboards. I can create more artboards if I want. So these artboards are basically where you're gonna lay out your work. If you go to the left-hand side, this here is your tools. So don't worry about knowing what all of these are yet. We're not going to use all of them in this class. I'll teach you in later videos a few of these and how to use it, but for now just know that you have one mouse that will basically transform into different tools based on what you're trying to accomplish. It's kind of as if you were painting and you have all of your brushes here to the left and one hand to work with, which is your mouse or your cursor. Up at the top, you'll see you have several menus to choose from. You don't need to worry about all of these right now, but just know that we will use these menus. For now, just know when I talk about the menu bar, it is up at the top. When I talk about the toolbar, it will be over here to your left. Here on the right-hand side, you have your panels. Panels will be used to accomplish different tasks with Illustrator. For now, I want you to go to make sure that you have a layers panel right here in your panels. You can change around how the panels are laid out, and you can actually add panels by going to your window bar up here and simply clicking on them. So make sure that your layers, which is alphabetically arranged, is clicked so that you have layers. Now you have, as you can see, many different possible panels that you could use. Again, don't worry about all of these right now. We'll use them as we need to.